Hi everyone! Welcome to Family Storytime at the Marathon County Public Library. My name is Tara and today I'm going to be reading you stories about hats. Do you like wearing hats? Hats can be helpful to shield you from the sun. They can help you celebrate parties. But today's first story, we're going to have two characters that find a magic hat. Let's see what they're up to in this story. Our first book today is called Warning, Do Not Touch by Tim Warnes. And I see a little bunny right here. Warning, do not touch. Do you notice that lots of things are labeled here? I see canoe, dragonfly, friend. That's so nice. Mole loved labeling things. All kinds of things, anything really. It was his absolute favorite thing to do. His best friend, the lumpy bumpy thing, was pretty good at it too. Rhubarb, carrots, lettuce, lots of stuff from the garden. Squirrel, fragrant. One day, the two friends saw something unusual in the woods. Look, gasped Mole, a snow bunny. I've seen brown bunnies and black bunnies and gray bunnies before, but I've never seen a white one. It was very mysterious indeed. Mole started to label the bunny, but it bounced away. He labeled it with Flopsy, Fluffy, and Bunny. Stop that bunny, cried Mole. So the lumpy bumpy thing chased after it. He wanted to label it with one more label that said cute. The lumpy bumpy thing came back wearing an interesting looking hat. The hat already had a label that says, Warning, do not touch. Quick, take it off, cried Mole. It could be dangerous. But the lumpy bumpy thing just giggled. Then he lifted the hat. There on his head was another bunny with a very tickly tail. Unbelievable, gasped Mole. That hat's magic. The bunny jumped down and gave Mole a great big snuggle. I suppose it's safe enough, Mole grinned. After all, they are just bunnies. On, off went the magic hat. Look how many bunnies you've made, exclaimed Mole. I'm going to number them so we can play bunny bingo. And he starts 1, that's a chubby bunny. 2, twitchy bunny. 3, well, that one doesn't have a label yet. The lumpy bumpy thing was in bunny heaven, but Mole was not. Those naughty bunnies kept swapping places and mixing themselves up. It was all very confusing. 10, 7, 9, 5, wait. That's not right, grumbled Mole. Hold still. But the bunnies wouldn't listen. Bunny after bunny jumped out of the hat. 97, 98, 99, 100. What had started out as a little bit of fun quickly became a big problem. Make it stop, hollered Mole. The lumpy bumpy thing tried pushing the bunnies back into the hat, but they were too wriggly. It tried scaring them away, but they weren't scared at all. They're just laughing. Look at this mess, wailed Mole. The bunnies had eaten all the flowers and they dug hundreds of holes. Stop it, bad bunnies, cried Mole. Then the lumpy bumpy thing spotted something terrible. Number 54 was heading straight for Mole's vegetable garden. Mole ran after him. Give me that carrot, he demanded. They tugged and they pulled and they pulled and they tugged until, oof, number 54 let go. Ha! Got it, shouted Mole, waving the carrot triumphantly in the air. The other bunnies stopped and stared and twitched their noses. Then they charged. Run for it, yelled Mole. But the lumpy bumpy thing stumbled and Mole's carrot sailed through the air into the magic hat. One of the bunnies dived in after it and disappeared. Hooray, cried Mole. Quick, grab some more carrots. So the two friends started hurling them into the hat, and one by one, the tiny bunnies followed. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 bunnies, declared Mole. We did it! The lumpy bumpy thing peered nervously into the hat. Don't worry, said Mole. They're gone now. Very carefully, they carried it back to where they'd found it. And this says safety stick. They don't want to touch it again. We don't want any more trouble, do we? Said Mole. Stay away! Warning! Bunnies! Beware! Do not touch! But the lumpy bumpy thing was looking at something unusual in the grass. Something with a label on it. This also says warning, do not touch. Don't touch that, gulped Mole. Can you see what that is? He found himself a magic wand, but it was too late. Oh no, cried Mole. Not again. This time, it's doves. Oh no. The lumpy bumpy thing has labels on him that says sorry, remorseful, apologetic. And that is the end of warning, do not touch. Now that magic hat did not do those guys any good, did it? Let's see if a cat has better luck in our rhyme. Today's rhyme is about a little white cat named Splat, and he discovers a magic hat. How do we know it's magic? Well, when he hops in and says some magic words, he changes color. Do you believe me? Let's pull him out and see how it works. I'm Splat the cat, and with my hat I can change my colors just like that. And all of a sudden, he becomes blue. He goes down to the pond to admire himself, and wouldn't you know it, he falls in. Oh no, Timmy Turtle has to come help him out. He doesn't like being blue anymore. That wasn't any fun. So he says again, I'm Splat the cat, and with my hat I can change my colors just like that. He hopped in and he came out red. Now, he went and found some of his other kitty friends, and they started laughing at him. Who ever heard of a red cat? They laughed. Splat didn't like that. He thought it was no fun being a red cat anymore. So he jumped into the hat and said, I'm Splat the cat, and with my hat I can change my colors just like that. And when he came out this time, he was yellow. He wandered along until he came across his cousin Leo the lion. And Leo the lion roared at him, I'm the only cat that can be yellow. Oh, Splat the cat was scared, so he dove back into his hat and he said, I'm Splat the cat, and with my hat I can change my colors just like that. And when he hopped out this time, he was purple. Well, as he wandered along this time, there were some little critters that came across him and sniffed him. Are you a grape? They asked. No, I'm not a grape. Well, you sure look tasty, they said. Oh no, Splat doesn't want to be eaten. So he hops back into his hat and says, I'm Splat the cat, and with my hat I can change my colors just like that. And when he came out this time, he was white again. And I think the moral of this story should be yourself. You're wonderful the way you are. Our next book is called Aunt Lucy Went to Buy a Hat. It's written by Alice Lowe and illustrated by Laura Holiska Baith. I tried to wear a hat like hers, but I don't have a pretty blue one. Gone! My brand new bright blue hat! Drat! Do you see it? Do you see what she does not see? Looks like it's on her back. Aunt Lucy went to buy a hat. And there's a little bird that's saying, your hat, your hat. But she does not hear. She really meant to buy a hat wide-brimmed and trimmed with lace to keep the sunshine off her face. Oh, the bird has brought it along. Instead, she bought a cat. Aunt Lucy went to buy some milk. Milk for the cat, not for the hat. Milk in a cup for lapping up. She found a pretty little cat in the animal haven. Instead of milk, she brought red silk. Aunt Lucy went to buy red thread. Thread for the silk, not for the milk, to sew a gown to wear in town. And here's the cat saying, "Milk! I want milk!" Instead of thread, she bought a bed. Aunt Lucy went to buy a sheet for the bed, not for the thread, a sheet with dots or tulip pots. Instead, she bought some meat. "You forgot about me, I want my milk," says the cat. "Hey, wait," she said, "I want a hat wide-brimmed and trimmed with lace to keep the sunshine off my face. Not milk or silk or a bed or thread, not tender meat or a dotted sheet. I want a hat. That is that." Then the wind went whoosh, and it blew a hat. And lickety-split, that zippity cat ran after that hat, uphill and down as it dipped and flipped to the end of town. That cat gave chase like an acrobat till it caught the lace of that wide-brimmed hat. What a good kitty. I like all of the acrobatics that it's doing. "Why, look at that, you darling cat! You brought me this delightful hat." Do you think she doesn't recognize it's her own hat? "A hat wide-brimmed and trimmed with lace to keep the sunshine off my face. You are one terrific cat." Then she gave the ham to a farmer man for a jug of milk, not a bolt of silk. And the cat went slurp, slurp, lap, lap, lap. And the two collapsed for a well-earned nap. Now who'd imagine all of that from going out to buy a hat? And that is the end of Aunt Lucy Went to Buy a Hat. I'm glad she ended up finding the perfect hat. Now let's go to Dan, who's going to teach us some words in sign language that have to do with today's hats.
Hey guys, it's Dan. Well, since we're hearing stories all about hats today, I thought I would teach you how to sign some different hat words in American Sign Language. So, let me take off my hard hat here, and we'll get started with sign number 1. The first sign we're going to learn today is for hat, and it's pretty simple. You take your hand and make it flat, and then pat yourself on the top of the head 2 times, and that's hat, hat. The second sign we're going to learn today is for ball cap, and to do that, we're going to mimic the action of putting on a ball cap. Take one of your hands and make it curved, and put your other hand on the back of your head, like you're fitting the cap onto your head, and then twice move your front hand down, like you're adjusting the brim of the hat, and that's ball cap, ball cap. The last sign we're going to learn today is for stocking cap or beanie, something you normally would wear in the winter, and it goes like this. Just like with ball cap, we're going to mimic the action of putting on a stocking cap. So you start out by taking your hands and clasping in your fingers like this and placing them on the side of your head and making a tugging down motion like you're fitting the stocking cap onto your head tightly. Then take your hands and move them down your head like you're smoothing out the beanie or the stocking cap. And that's stocking cap, beanie. Well, there you have it. Now you know how to sign hat, ball cap, and stocking cap or beanie in American Sign Language. Now, let's go back to Tara for one more story.
Our final story today is simply called Cake. It's written by Sue Hendra and Paul Lynette. Cake had just received an exciting invitation. You are invited to a party. He'd never been to a party before, so he didn't know what to expect. But he was sure about one thing. He wanted to look his best. Fish didn't know what Cake should wear. He'd never been to a party either. Said Fish. Nope, I don't think so. What about a hat? Suggested Fish. Good thinking, said Cake. None of his outfits looked happy enough. So off Cake went to buy a hat. I think he went to the right place. Hats, hats, hats. Cake tried on lots of hats in the shop, There's a little bitty one. There's a princess one. There's one with lots of fruits on it. There's a graduation cap. Is it for a special occasion? Asked the shop assistant. A wedding, perhaps. No, said Cake, a party. Oh, said the shop assistant, in that case, I have just the thing. And he disappeared out the back. We don't get to see what it is yet. Here you go, sir, said the shop assistant. You'll be irresistible in this. Thank you very much, said Cake. He couldn't wait to get home and show Fish his new hat. Are you ready? Cake called from his bathroom. Ta-da! You've done it, shouted Fish. Doesn't he look marvelous in his candle hat? Cake was soon on his way to the party, dressed in his new hat. Deedly-dee, deedly-dum, I'm off to a party to have some fun, says Cake. I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but there are a lot of little strange things watching him. Pizza, Jell-O. Cake was a bit nervous when he arrived. But when everyone saw him, they cheered. Cake's here! A party isn't a party without cake, they said, and in he went. Cake was having so much fun at the party. There was dancing and lots of games, but then the singing started. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Cake was getting a bad feeling about this. Oh, crumbs. Suddenly there was a gust of wind and everything went black. Then there was a smell of raspberries, and Cake felt a wibbly-wobbly hand grab hold of his, and a wibbly-wobbly voice said, "Quick, run for it, Cake!" Looks like lots of little food items running and running. Oh, they made it somewhere safe. That's so nice. Meanwhile, back at the front door, I do hope I haven't missed the party, says the piñata. Oh, they're watching and gonna save him too, I hope. That is the end of Cake. Now, I sure hope the next time you decide to wear a hat that you're not going to have the problems that Cake has. Well, I think I'm going to change into a ball cap and go outside and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you for joining me for story time today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.